Welcome back. It's Mr. J once again, counting up the Japanese versions of the Power Rangers Operation Overdrive Zords. And now we come to the auxiliary Zords. Here we see the Drive Max Megazord once again, because he will be necessary. The team ends up getting an array of various vehicles, starting with the Dualdrive, which is basically the Underminer's drill tank. And while the American toy was less than stellar, this one has a fully functional drill. Well, not electrically powered, but it does rotate. And if you look carefully, you can see the little drills inside the big drill actually moving independently. As an arm attachment, it basically just clips onto the side, or to the arm. That's all. It doesn't really do anything except, excuse me, rotate like a proper arm. But it's something. Next we come to basically a claw vehicle. I forget what they're called, but yeah. While the American version was less than stellar, this one has a fully articulated claw and a fully extendable claw neck. The whole mechanism rotates, the crane or the claw raises, and these little stabilizer thingies pop out. As for it becoming an arm attachment, it attaches to this side like so. And it works. I mean, it's a little more active than the drill driver, but overall its moment is coming up. Excuse me a second. Sorry, the back of the computer, the back screen on the computer shifted without my permission. Then we come to a cement mixer. Yes, a Power Rangers cement mixer. And this one really took a hit in the American version. There was one that had some, what do you call, movability, and a version that was just a slipper. Yeah. The Bandai company kind of hosed the, I don't want to say it, but they kind of hosed the consumer a bit, because you had to get two different Megazords to get a proper single Megazord. And then you had extra parts left over, which is in very poor taste. But this one, if you spin a little gear, it actually rotates the cement chamber. Not only that, it folds out, and if you press the little button on the back, you get a spinning cement blaster with a lot of chrome inside and a lot of detail. So yeah. And in order to make it into a arm attachment, you just fold out the tank and fold the cabin up. And that's basically it. Next, we come to a crane, which, yes, you had to get two different Megazords in order to get a proper crane. Once again, bad form. This one, however, is good form, because It raises up, it rotates, it extends, whoa, hello, and it also extends a wrecking ball-esque hook thing from the top. And in order to, see if I get this going right, in order to put it back, it's got this little crank thing on the back. And while it can be rather finicky, it is worlds better than the American version. And finally, we come to, let's scoot the Megazord back a bit. Oh, by the way, almost forgot. This is the arm attachment version, or configuration. Yeah. So anyway, back to the final auxiliary Zord. A very large flying wing. The Sonic Streaker, which is what Sonic is known for on No Pants Day. Sorry, had to make that joke. Now, this particular model is supposed to have a little clip thing on the back that attaches to this vehicle in a way that allows these four and other arm attachment Zords to be carried. But since it's not one of the functions of the actual Zord in show, I decided against leaving it on there and just put it back in the box. Now, this one doesn't do much other than sort of an escape pod slash finishing move where you press this little spot here and it launches this piece, which might be an escape pod, might be something else. All I know is it's very annoying when you accidentally press it and the thing goes flying. Now, since we have all of them, I can show the two combinations with the Megazord. And to prep the Megazord, it's very easy. You just take the arms off, fold up the sub, fold up the front end loader, like so. Fold down the pieces, or the claw pieces from the, this is where my brain stops working, from the red Zord. Attach the sub and front end loader like so. Take the blue Zord off completely. Put that back in its ship mode. Attach it to the back very carefully so you don't break the clips. Rotate the head of the Megazord so its face is facing this way. And now we're ready to go. First, you take the crane and this is where my brain stops working. The crane and cement mixer Zords, and you fold them up so they look like this, and this respectively. Notice the extension for the cement mixer. Now you place carefully, you place the feet of the Megazord, removing the sword temporarily, on. There we go. On the resulting slippers, like so, which can be rather finicky, but trust me, they are worlds better than the American version. You're going to hear me say that a lot. You fold out these claws on the crane head to form a helmet, which we'll get to in a moment. You take the fully extended claw vehicle. You do absolutely nothing to the drill, putting both of those on the arms. And finally, you take the helmet, put it in place, and you have the Super Drive Max, which, yeah, its chest is kind of anemic compared to the rest of its body, but I don't dislike this particular combination. It's very effective visually. But this is not the end. Oh no. We got this big puppy. And for that, we have to take off the helmet, flip it around, take the blue Zord off, set that aside, put the crane Zord's helmet piece back on the crane, and lower the crane arm temporarily. Then you take the sonic streaker, pull off this part, and pull off the cockpit. Basically, that's a cockpit. You straighten these little winglets on this piece. Then you fold out these little black parts. You straighten them on the sonic streaker. Then you thread them carefully through the underarms of the Zord. There are a couple clips on the back which will allow you to attach the the sonic streaker in one place. And on the front, you attach the blue Zord to the folded down black parts carefully so you don't accidentally break something. Fold down the two winglets. Then you attach, after folding back the wheels a bit so they don't get in the way on this. See? You attach that to the chest. Fold the winglets back a bit. And finally, you take this piece, which is revealed as a new helmet. Slam that sucker into place. Oh, wait. First you fold up the tiny wheels on the helmet. Then you slam the sucker into place. And you have the Drive Max Ultra Zord. Explosions and things happen because it's awesome! But seriously, this is the most movable, most cohesive looking, not cluster F-bomb Ultra Zord I've seen in a long time. The later Zords, they looked ridiculous. But this beast, it looks just so good. And it came from arguably one of the worst seasons. I don't get that. I mean, look at this sucker. It is perfect. I mean, it's got functioning limbs. It's sort of posable. And it doesn't look like a cluster F bomb, despite it having 10 Zords. Heck, if I were inclined, I could put the sword back in place on the leg and it wouldn't look like a cluster F bomb. It looks so good. But wait, there's more. During a battle with one of the enemy characters, the Black Ranger decided to try a different combo. So he split the auxiliary Zords off and put them together on their own. And so, after taking the helmet piece off the crane Zord again, flipping around the crane completely and folding it up like so, putting the cement driver back in place, or back in its original configuration, and folding up the cabin like so. I think you see where I'm going with this. Taking the drill Zord and doing nothing with it. Taking the crane Zord and doing nothing with it. Taking the helmet piece off the crane Zord and the extra piece off of the Sonic Streaker, putting them together like so. That was a very loud click. Oh, that's why. The spring mechanism for the escape pod thing. Putting the escape pod back in place like so. Folding the wings of the Sonic Streaker up. This is very hard to do when you're holding stuff. Like so. Folding the wheel bits up like so. Folding down these two cannon engine things to form joints. Reattaching the back piece here. Back in place on the Sonic Streaker, and being careful not to hit the escape pod launch button. I hate that thing. And finally, putting them all together off screen, because this can be difficult. I don't want to break anything. So you have the back screen to look at. Okay, legs, arms, and finally, you fold up and lock into place the crest of the Dualdrive Megazord. Now, this isn't the first alternate Zord the Rangers get. You'll see a future video about that soon. But this is the first auxiliary Megazord made of auxiliary mini Zords, or individual Zords. And while it only showed up a couple times in the show, using basically energy blast and possibly launching its head at enemies to finish them, I honestly liked it. A lot of people don't like it because it seems to be just a vehicle for the auxiliary Zords. And yeah, it looks kind of boxy and silly and not perfect. But honestly, I wish it had shown up more in the show. And heck, spoiler alert, it was one of the few Zords that survived the end of the show. So kudos for that. And yes, its arms are fully movable. The legs aren't, although you can rotate them outward, sort of. And yeah, it's less posable than the main Megazord, but it still looks good to me. This was, in my humble opinion, a plus for Power Rangers Operation Overdrive. When next we meet the Mercury Rangers Zord, and the one Zord that Bandai America did not bring over in some, well, one part of the Zord they did bring back, but I'll get to that later. Until then, this is Mr. J signing out and reminding you, while Power Rangers might not have a gem every season, it's not all garbage, and there are fans of all the seasons in some form or another. So please respect one another, and stay safe, stay healthy, stay isolated for now. And hopefully Power Rangers will come back after Dino Fury. Although it hasn't come back yet, even though I'll stop talking. This is where my mouth stops working. Goodbye.